Well, good morning, everybody. I'd like to start. I've gave everybody a copy of my flyer and a copy of my brochure, Less is More Coaching. This will give you a little bit of in-depth. It gives you my office is downtown Minneapolis. I'll save you some of the details in here and answer Jim's question right off the chute. And that is, in corporate America, I was a wine guy. I became a certified sommelier. I was in the restaurant business since I was 12 years old. Went into sales, sold door-to-door, sold copiers, then sold people as a recruiter, and then found the job of my dreams. I had two options, ended up in the wine and liquor business because it associated with food, so I was able to marry my two worlds. And I've been drinking wine since I was 5 years old. You'll probably see I was born and raised in England, and I speak fluent Minnesota.
How long have you been here?
Since 1975, and when I came over here, I took speech therapy for 3 years because at the age I was here at 11, I didn't fit in speaking English. And I had just moved here from France, where I also didn't fit in for 3 years, and I learned to speak French fluently. When I came here, I learned to speak American by getting lazy with my speech. No offense. I am a citizen now, so I'm not any of this to be offensive. And I developed a lisp in getting lazy. Therefore, I took speech therapy at school from 7th, 8th, and 9th grade, and at home, my parents were adamant that I keep my English and didn't want me to speak improperly. I had to do the same homework at home on a reel-to-reel with a microphone for 3 years.
That ages you.
Yeah, it does. You like that?
So we have a wine group with 3,400 members in it. So.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So I have done more wine speaking and wine auctions and wine things around Minnesota than most people can dream of.
Oh, good.
And I absolutely love it. And it's part of where I developed my passion. How many of you have been to the Renaissance Festival? Okay. I was out there. I was Lord Lester, the wine master of the Renaissance for 13 years. I created that wine event that's out there. That's where you go and you sit the Queen's wine dinner. And absolutely love making a difference with people. And all of this comes back around to I hit a ceiling in my business. I had the opportunity to take a paid leave. It was awesome. And I knew my boss would never leave. And I was 49. And at that point, I was like, okay, now what? What am I going to do with my life? How can I make a difference? I had just lost my sister the year before. And I said, I'd been in a personal training and development world for 10 years, leading communication, personal training and development course. And I said, that's it. I'm going to go out on my own. And I started working a small business with a partner, went into the entrepreneurial world. And the partner decided that after 3 years it didn't work and took the money and all of that good stuff. And I said, that's it. Now I'm going on my own. And I've been on my own now for 1.5 years. I absolutely love it. I've found a niche in nonprofit. I've found a niche in doing good for contributing to the community. I do this, what we're going to do here, in 2 hours. I do an hour tell about myself in a business class, most recently at Forest Lake High School. And they come in and the students sit down with you and you tell them what you've done to be an entrepreneur and then share. I didn't see talking about myself for 2 hours, so I spoke about myself for just under an hour, and then I took this sheet and made it about learning. And that's what we're going to focus on in a minute here. And I found that it was such a rewarding 2 hours. The instructor is now going to have me come back and talk to the whole class. And I have other schools that are interested in having me come out. And I'm not interested in making any money at that or at this. I just love speaking to people, and I have an agreement with myself that I set to do 25 speaking engagements a year minimum. And I know that if I do this, I'll get business. And the business that I do is working with people. I trained speakers and worked with them, and you'll see this as we go through this sheet, for about 8 years. And love it. And there are tricks and tips and techniques. I probably have forgotten more tips and techniques around speaking than most people know, just from the simple fact that I've had coaches. I've had my own 5 coaches now for 6 years, and absolutely love the whole phenomenon of coaching. I have a dating coach. It's awesome. It's really cool. They hold you accountable for following certain plans. I have a money coach. I have a religious coach, a spiritual advisor, and it's made a big difference in my life. So that's my pitch for coaching.
Great.
Moving into this, I'm going to spend just a minute and tell you about my logo. Less is more coaching. As you can probably imagine, it's self-explanatory. Less is my name. I'm a pun on words. I wanted to have fun with people. Now, I also gave everybody a pen, and to make sure that nobody gets serious, if you push this pen, you'll see a little red condom on the bottom of the pen. And yes, I mentioned a word that had a whole bunch of people go places, but I was instructed that that's what it was called. It's called a condom by a pen salesman because it allows it to stay fresh and the gel to stay fresh. So make sure you take that off before you start writing. In my logo, you'll notice there are 3 circles. The first one is a red circle with an X, then there's a black one with integrity, and then a red circle with nothing in it. How many of you have somebody that you've either dated before, been married to before, or you had a job that you were at before, and many of us refer to those befores as X's? Have you ever used that term? Okay. I'm going to use X because I've been married before. I'll use that. When you refer to a spouse or somebody, a significant other, let's pretend that that circle is that significant other. When you say X, what does it do? Puts a big red X in there. So the possibility of another significant other has now got a red X on it. When you restore integrity to that relationship, in the world of relationship, some will work, some won't. Move on. Create something that does work. One of the things, though, when that relationship started, is something was working. Therefore, it had that integrity in the beginning, and then something happened. When we put that X in there, we make a big deal about whatever that is, that's something that happened. When you remove that and you get in communication and complete that, you can start calling them a former husband or former wife. That word gives dignity to the relationship. You restore that integrity, and that gives that circle space for possibility. Does that communicate?
Yes, never heard that before.
I highly, highly recommend, if you ever use the word X, take it out of your language and use former. It will empower you in what's possible. Listening. We'll start right at the top. There's no specific order or importance in these. That's why they're not, the main points aren't numbered. In listening, how many of you have ever done the telephone exercise or remember even what that is? Yeah. It's amazing. I've actually done it with a group of PhDs that said, we know how this game works. We'll make it successful. And I just love that challenge because as soon as you get any more than 6 people, it's predictable that what I share with him, if it's about 6 or 7 or 8 word sentence, by the time it comes all the way around, it's completely different. And these PhDs were all blushing and red and felt very embarrassed because not only was it different, there wasn't one word that was the same. After 24 of them, it was hilarious. Listening through filters of life. We have life, it happens. The minute that I said an X, everybody went somewhere with that conversation. I've been divorced twice. All of you have now just took what I said and put it through a filter. Oh, wow. He's been not married twice, he's divorced twice. Is it his fault, or is it their fault, or whose fault is it? Well, I'll take 100% of the responsibility irregardless. Right? That's my filter. Active listening. When you do communications like this, what is active listening? Active listening is when you actually watch somebody, you're looking at them, and Wrong table for the food. Excellent. She finally figured out we had food. I wondered how long it would take her. See, there's the interesting thing, right? There's a demonstration of a filter. She's on a plan, right, to deliver food, irregardless of what her eyes are telling her. Her eyes are telling her there's food on the table. But we are so driven by this piece of our brain called the amygdala, it's in the back, that is part of where our filters come from. We listen through that. So consider you don't hear the words I say, you hear your interpretation of the words that I say.
That's so funny that you say that, because I've actually been thinking about that a lot, like why there's so much miscommunication in our culture. I think it's because, so I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're not.
But I think it's because what a word to me means something than what it means to you, because my past experiences with that word
Bingo.
means something completely different.
Perfect, you're on track.
Yeah.
And what is it, if I say the word bear, what are we thinking of?
Grizzly.
Grizzly?
An animal.
Bear phone.
Yeah.
Bear phone?
See him hold the
I'm thinking of the condom on the pen.
So you were thinking about a bare naked person. Yeah, I got it. There you go. And the pen was just a representation. So it really is. Now, the interesting thing is, when we look at this, and this will pull us into the next one, texting, email, has zero contextual value. None. If I say hi, that could mean 100 things to some people. Well, how come he didn't say good afternoon or good morning? Because he always says good morning 6 out of 7 days, and today's the 7th and he said hi. Is he upset? Is he frustrated? Did I piss him off yesterday?
You date sensitive people. Don't do that.
No, this is a reality though, because even if the person doesn't react to it, their subconscious is doing that thinking. Your brain is doing that thinking whether you react to it or not. Therefore, as a communicator, if you can not get the brain to react by delivering stuff in a way that works, i.e., don't text anything that has any contextual meaning, text schedule changes, meeting changes, keep it very simple, black and white, no gray. Emails, same thing. Emails can get you into trouble. Look at all the litigation that's out there with emails. And now there's litigation about texting. There's even litigation about Snapchat because everybody thought, oh, it vanishes. Didn't you know it vanishes? The picture goes away. Yeah, really? Cyberspace? Google? It's there forever, somewhere. And when it comes to court, that somewhere becomes available. Highly recommend it. Be careful what you say. Being present. Talking about cell phones. How many of you have friends that their cell phones are like this, and if, no matter what you're talking about, you could be talking about a death in a family, if that thing blinks, their attention to the cell phone.
How do you feel about it? I think it's horrible.
It's people not being present.
That's right. I left mine in my car today. You guys are more important than my phone. Unless somebody's dying, I'll get back to it in an hour and they'll tell me then.
There you go.
They'll
Now,
tell me
the
then.
world is not there yet. Therefore, there's a responsibility that comes. A lot of people expect instant response.
Like who?
Oh,
Like your boss? Or
Huh?
like your kids? Or
A lot of people, kids, bosses. I mean, there are parents that are texting their kids about an argument from the night before, and the kids are having to go to their counselors because they saw the text and now they can't be present in class and they end up in. Now, how do I know this? I was just on a panel at a church that showed a movie, which is a documentary coming out called Screenagers. And there was a pastor, me as a coach, a therapist, a pediatrician, and a teacher. And it is insane what is going on with screens today. Average time, a kid today, a teenager, 6 hours of screen time.
Per day?
Per day. 6 hours. It's crazy. Being present, eye contact, body position, big deal. This is a big deal. If I'm in a conversation with somebody and I'm having this conversation and I'm standing like this to this person, this is a very aggressive stance. If any of you have taken any martial arts, it's one of the aggressive attack positions, right? It's a way to defend. When you open yourself up to people, it allows you to be in communication with them. If I've got my back, he's not hearing me. And he's like, wow, how come his back's to me?
I'm not important.
I'm not important. All of these things go on. Body, eye contact, this being present allows people to stay present. It's amazing. And if you'll notice, one of the things that I do is I just stop talking sometimes. Why? Because a lot of people in meetings will look up from whatever they're doing, like, is he done? What's going on? And then I get all their attention again.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Yeah.
We are so used to filling stuff up. Time clock watchers are the worst in a meeting, watching them. And that's part of what people do, you know, right? You push the button on the bottom, there comes the clock. Yesterday's the past, tomorrow's the future, but today is a gift. That's why it's called the present. Quote from Bill, consider every day as a gift. It's amazing. Moving into the speaking part. If you notice, I do very little so, you know, but. And while my brain is doing stuff during the time that most people are going, yeah, let's see. So, you know, that little span of all those words, how many of you know people that do that a lot? They are not present, and they're not attentive to what they're communicating and why they're communicating it. They're also not present to their audience. Yeah?
So what's something that you can do to be more present? To eliminate those fillers?
One, pause. Stop talking.
Thing two is to be prepared.
Yeah.
Usually people are because they're ad libbing and they don't know what they're going to say, so then they're thinking, oh well,
Now
what am I going to say next?
and I'm going to disagree with that.
Okay.
Okay? If you know your field, preparation comes in being connected with an intention of what you're there to deliver. If you notice, I connect with eye contact with certain people, and I keep that eye contact for a while. I know that if I can connect with you, everybody in the room will feel connected. Why? Because you're part of this community.
Alex, you are an eye person.
Yeah.
You are. You look people in the eye and you stay attentive to them.
Yeah.
You do. As young as he is, I'm just saying, that's very young.
There's a lot to being present to the conversation environment. Yeah.
Well, I mean, I was just curious.
Well, I mean,
Exactly. So I feel like I'm always
So?
prepared for things. Great. And
and how we doing? Look at me. Stop looking at the table.
so,
No, you're looking away from me.
okay.
I'm serious about this. If you're interested, I'll give you a little tip. Right? You stay connected to me, you'll deliver exactly what you need to say. When you're searching and you're looking around, looking down, looking up, you're not going to get connected. That's where you lose it. Are you going to stop looking at the picture? Right. So why would you stop looking at somebody you're in a conversation with? Aren't they pitching you something?
How do I get good at it? Is it a matter of being prepared for things, or is it a matter of me just doing it more often?
One, it's giving yourself some comfort that you're going to make mistakes.
Okay.
It's inevitable. You're a human being. You're flawed. Welcome to being human. Knowing that, it's not if I'm going to make a mistake. It's not if I screw up. It's when. Therefore, now I get to play full out. You know that you're going to miss some pitches. Are you going to stop swinging? Right? So why do you do that with a baseball and not with life? And it's interesting. We think at 1,800 words a second. And every time you look away for 1 or 2 seconds, you're searching your databanks and reading 4, 5, or 6 pages. Therefore, if you stay with the person, you're interested in them, not your thoughts about them, thoughts about somebody like them, thoughts about the past. You're not trying to invent something. So it's called neuro-linguistic programming. And there's a way, if you look up here, look down here, look down here, you're actually searching, and it's now provable with MRIs that they can tell you what you're doing. And that's a whole dissertation on its own. I won't even go there. I'll just let you know that it's out there. Neuro-linguistic programming. And it's very, very powerful. That makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Ahs, so, but is my famous one. Everybody in this room uses but, including me. I trust I use it a little less than everyone in here. And the famous one that I want you to take this out of your language. Take the word but out, and here's what I want you to replace it with. Silence. Silence.
Why? Why is that?
He explained it earlier before you came in,
It's
so
okay.
he'll explain
It's
it
okay.
again.
I'm going to give one good definition that all of you will never ever forget. I love you, but what are you waiting for?
But I want to
You're
know.
waiting for something. You're the excuse. You're looking for what's wrong with me because I love you, but you don't make the bed in the morning. Or I love you, but you've got body odor. Or I love you, but
You're married.
you're waiting to hear what comes after the word but. People go, well, how about however? No, that's just fancy. Or use the word anything, any conjunction. You want to make a statement like that, I love you. Zip it. There are some things I'd like to work on in our relationship. Your eye contact, every time it goes away, I feel disconnected. And I really love you when I want to be connected. Make a difference? It's amazing. The eyes are the doorway to the soul. And when you get connected with somebody, I don't care who it is, there's a place over there that reflects you. And what do I mean by that? There's a human being over there. That's what you want. There's somebody that cares. That's what you want. They live, breathe. They may have different skin color, so what? You cut them open, they're the same. It's kind of cool, isn't it?
But it's a job. You have to focus on doing that with everybody, and then it becomes easy after that because you're giving everything you got to them at that time. Either do it or don't do it. No gray area there. Just look at them and talk to them. You may not like them and never want to talk to them again and go, oh, I'm never going to talk to that person again. But I gave you what we needed to do at that time, right? You know.
Need is one of those words like but.
Well, okay. Got it.
We don't need anything. You either want something or you don't.
Well, the other person needed me to talk to them. If they needed something from me to tell me.
Did they want something from you or did they need it?
Oh, I don't, yeah,
So
okay.
be careful about certain words. The word need implies you need help. Like, oh, I'm sorry, you need help.
Oh, I see. Okay, I got a lot of needy people around me. I'll say one after this. Oh, I got a needy. I'll say one after this. I know what you're
And
saying.
it really creates, words are everything. Words create reality.
Yeah.
The way you deliver a word means a lot, right? You were asking in the beginning. Volume, if you notice when speaking, I go up and down. Some people don't like volume. If you raise your voice, some people think, oh my God, I'm getting shouted at. And all those parental things come back. Or military things, whatever. quiet, it's very interesting. I had a mother teach me at the Renaissance Festival how to quiet a crowd. And I was like, nah, this isn't gonna work. And of course, I should have just given up in that moment. She said, just go shh. Shh. And it's, you've probably heard it out at the Renaissance Festival. A hush fell over the crowd. What does a mother do to quiet a baby? That memory is stored in your amygdala, in the lower part of your brain. There's no timestamp on it. You say that, it will remind you of that, and you'll pay attention, and you'll stop, you'll calm down. Try it sometime. It's fantastic. It works really, really well. Body language. There's new stats out there, this 80 to 90, and I just haven't changed it yet, is 85 to 95% of our communication is nonverbal. It is crazy to think about that. As I said earlier about the defense stature, you know, if you're standing sideways to somebody, that automatically, without them knowing about it, puts them in a defensive. Their subconscious is going to be registering that physicality without even being consciously aware of it. If you sit across from somebody and they have their knees crossed and their arms crossed, you may as well stop talking. They're closed off to whatever you have to say. If I stood up here and started speaking like this, some of you would be like, huh, it's kind of gruff. Does he need to go to the bathroom? You'd have a whole bunch of communication. Now, if you're in a meeting with someone and you're there either for an interview and they start off this way, here's a trick. Mirror them. And break it in about 30 seconds every time you speak. You'll start to see them open up. It's amazing. Ladies, I have great news for you because ladies do this a lot. They cross their knees and they put their knee into the behind of their calf. It's the #1 cause of varicose veins. Yep.
As I'm sitting right now.
Men, same thing because we get them too. It's just women do it more because they tend to wear skirts and want to cross. The way to cross your legs is at the bottom, ankles. Does the same trick. All of these things make a huge difference in body language. Yes?
Are there exceptions? Like,
Never.
Sometimes I do this when I'm cold.
No.
Nothing.
No. I tell you what, if you were on a phenomenal date and your focus is 100% on the person you're with, do you ever get cold?
Oh no, oh no.
Probably not.
Yeah. Amazing, isn't it? It is unbelievable what our mind is doing and not doing. When you're like this and think you're getting cold, consider you're not present and you're getting sleepy. How many of you have been in a meeting and you kind of catch yourself, whoa, did I just close my eyes? I had the privilege of being in a seminar in Dallas, front row. Second day of the seminar, and I was tired because we hung out and had a good time the night before. And I'm doing the head bob. And the leader is 3 feet in front of me. He goes, hey Les, yeah, you're falling asleep. Huh? No, I was just looking. You get Les, where's your integrity out? The conversation that we were having at that particular moment was about finances, and I knew I'd been late on 2 bills. And I did not want to hear anybody talking about finances that moment. And my subconscious was causing me to get sleepy. Because like I said, if you're on the hottest date you've been on, sleep, ha, what's that? You are attention, alert, wow! There's no, oh wow, it's 6 o'clock in the morning, I gotta be class in an hour. Those are the interesting things that way. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Being in another person's world. This is probably the biggest gift I could give you today, other than the butt and the X. Being in another person's world is the key to success. Why? It gets you out of your stories, your filters, your anything, as you suddenly get to know who's over there, what your world is, how I can deliver whatever it is that I've got to deliver to you, or really learn about what it is you have to deliver so that I can authentically say yes or no to whatever it is you're delivering. Does that make sense?
100%.
And the other thing is listening for what may be going on in their life. If you know that somebody's driving and you're being talked to
Thank you.
while they're on the road and somebody cuts them off, it could change the tone of what they're saying to you. If you take that personally, it has nothing to do with you. That's just one example. There are other things that happen. People may have just had a death in the family, and they're coming to work because they've got to be at work. They're going to present themselves. Now, are they at the top of their game? Not a chance. They're dealing with that emotional coefficient that's filtering everything that comes at them. If you find that out, to be able to be over there in their world takes that all out of the equation. Completely removes that thread, gives them some relief, gives you a bond, and gives you the ability to now, friends buy from friends. People buy from people they know and like. That's one step. And remember, if somebody ever says, well, I'm not a salesman, I don't like selling, really? You do it every day. You put certain clothes on, you put certain makeup on, you put certain perfume or cologne on, you brush your teeth, not only for health reasons, because you want them to look good, you don't want the green vegetables from last night to show up. I mean, we do a lot of things for other people. This is another one.
Les?
Yes.
That just verified it for me, thank you, because when I don't feel like I can give somebody something, I won't answer my phone. Whether I'm driving or whether I'm home, if I can't give them what, they called me for a reason. If I feel that I'm someplace else doing something else in my mind, I won't answer that phone and I'll call them back in 10 or 15 minutes when I can actually sit down and hear what they have to say, because then I'm present. And then they know I'm present. Because I don't like people kind of dipping around and acting like I'm insignificant when I'm talking to them. I'm not going to do that to anybody. And that's what happens when the cell phone thing goes on. Everybody seems to be insignificant all the time. I don't play that game.
Now, there's another level to that.
Okay?
There's the level called, hey, guess what? I'm sorry, I'm right in the middle of a couple things, so you're going to get about
Yep.
50% of my attention. If that works, awesome. Otherwise, I can call you back and when would be a good time.
That's okay too. That'd
And
be okay
the
for me.
reason that I do that is it's hard to get a hold of people live these days. People are very busy. Therefore, when somebody calls, to be able to take
Yeah.
that and do that is really great.
Well, I know
because
this,
you're
yeah, I know what you're saying. That is very good. Because it's, you need to make that contact to let them know that you are there. And you, yeah,
and you can
that's
tell them
good.
you're busy.
Or else they're gonna think like, she never answers my phone call.
Yep.
Every time I call, she doesn't answer.
Which then creates a whole nother story.
It really does. Then they hate me and all this stuff, and I don't hate anything. I just had to finish this one thing over here before I could give you everything. Yeah, if it happens too often, I can see how that would be a bad thing.
Yeah.
If they keep calling me and I don't answer and I call them back, it's like, okay, she doesn't think I'm that important to pick up. I
And
get that.
there's a lot of people that do that.
Yeah.
And the
You know what I mean?
interesting thing
Yeah.
about that is starting to learn to be responsible for how you show up in the world.
Yeah.
Not only being in another person's world, but how do you show up in the world? All first 4 of these. How does that work? Always ask questions. Don't assume. You've heard this one, it makes a
That's out of you and me.
thank you. Why communication? It's what we live and breathe on. People communicate by a look, they communicate by a touch, they communicate by what they wear, how they walk. And my last gift to you is the last thing on the page here, intimacy. If you truly are looking for intimacy, consider that the word actually means into me you see. Any questions? Any how about, but, if, maybe, this way?
I have a question for you. Go ahead, Carol.
Yep.
Okay, I've got a question on the speaking, volume quiet or loud? I live with a 91-year-old who refuses to put in hearing aids. Everything's loud in my house. So, but no, having said that, when you are out with someone else, after a while, I forget how loud I am speaking. Is that,
If that's a condition, then the first time you're outside of the house and you're with somebody, oh, by the way, am I speaking too loud, Jim?
Okay.
No. And ask. Why not? Check in.
okay, thank you.
I think you also need to consider the situation. So I think most of what he's saying is a professional situation. Choose your tone of quality, not necessarily all the time in life, because some people need to get blasted.
And I play mute. To me, volume, all of this stuff is like a dance. Communication is like a dance. What has you become a good communicator is the person that's willing to dance all forms of dance, all speeds, and also to be able to step back and let the dance happen without them. Some of the greatest communication I've done is by just being in the group, never saying a word, thinking about something that I'd like to share, and somebody pops that out of their mouth. That is amazing. And it happens. When you're that connected, those things start to happen. Great question. Did you have a question?
Yeah, are you in a speakers bureau or?
National Speakers Association.
Okay, and can you, for the benefit of the group, tell us what is the benefit of being in this speakers association of any kind?
The local chapter, I actually don't belong to the local chapter. The benefit of it is the education that they give you, and also the brotherhood or sisterhood of that group is great, because some people will take you under their wing as a mentor. They can give you advice, they can share with you, they have classes. The current local Minnesota actually has somebody who has a PhD in psychology that was leading their speakers university. And they actually have a curriculum where you can go through and learn and be trained to be a speaker. Yes?
What's your opinion of Toastmasters?
Toastmasters, any arena where you can get practice and learn is awesome. I have only one disagreement with Toastmasters, and I have heard that they're maybe changing their view on this. And that is, when you speak to people, speak about a foot above the head of the person in the back row. I disagree with that. If you notice, I've told you, find somebody, speak directly to that person, get connected. And when you're connected, the rest of the group will get that and they'll feel connected. And don't do this. Hi, let me tell you, hi, my name's Les. I'd like to talk to you today about... Oh my gosh. It's like, whoa, stop. Because they're not present. They're just...
Yeah, Les. Will you talk a little bit about when, let's say I'm not interested in the word you're saying. I'm not interested at all. You know,
Then you're dead.
well, no, just let me finish. But people do this to me sometimes, and it's rude. It's integrity. If I'm still not interested in what you're talking about, if you're talking about purple bubble gum, I'm still going to give it to you and then get the heck out of there and say, well, I'm never going there again. But some people, they check out right away and they check out on you, and then the rest of the people are getting checked out too, and it's not integrity for the rest of the group, right? Would you talk about that a little bit? It doesn't help anybody.
One thing, if I can give you a bit of coaching,
Yeah.
slow.
Well, I was born this way. I don't really know.
Yes, really.
I'm not being negative, but
No, I'm not.
I get excited. Okay, fine. I heard you.
I understand
I
that.
heard you. I did. I heard you.
I grew up with disruptive behavior on every report card. I was so ADD and ADHD, whatever. They would have had me on Ritalin before it was invented, if they could
Oh
have.
yeah, I'm not ADD. I'm just excited.
And I learned how to get connected and slow down.
No, you're not the first person that's told me that. I'll take it. I'll take it. You're not the first person.
Here's the interesting thing. You'll take it.
Yeah,
My request is you consider why it would make a difference
yeah,
for
it
you.
would, it would.
Why it would make a difference. Really.
No, it would.
And
I
then
know.
write that down.
Yeah, it would make a difference.
Write that down. And then start practicing. And you're not going to be good at it in the beginning. You'd be
A
okay.
couple of questions.
Yeah.
Can you elaborate on teachability index?
Elaborate on teachability index.
Yeah.
How about defining that as you know it to be so that I can understand, because I know
Like-
what the words mean.
Like like your willingness to learn, your willingness to accept change. Can you elaborate a little bit on that?
I believe if you stop being willing to learn or being willing to change, you're dead.
You start the dying process.
Oh, yeah.
You're either expanding or contracting. Law of entropy, expanding or contracting. There is no sitting on the couch. The minute you start doing that, you're contracting. Did that answer your question?
100%.
So I'm gonna go back to something you said
So?
earlier. Excuse me. I'm gonna go back to something you said
He
earlier.
missed that part. He missed that part.
No, he
too.
got it. He got it. I went over it again.
So you're saying Toastmasters, the one part that you did not agree with was looking over the crowd, because if you look someone in the eyes, even though you might not be looking everyone in the eyes, everyone feels that connection. So if Toastmasters are looking over their heads, does that same thing work in reverse? If you're not looking at people, are they gonna feel that they're missing the personal connection?
It's a good question. People will judge and assess you from the moment you step into the room and they start getting connected. I've done tests where I've gone into a coffee shop and I've gotten the manager's permission because I go into them a lot, and I will come up and meet somebody for 5 seconds to get a drink and then go to the end, and then the manager will let me pull them from the register and I get to do an interview, and I have an interview process. And it's stunning to find out in that amount of time. I've also pulled people over on the street that have just walked by me, and all I've done is nod and get eye contact. Pull them aside and give them my same interview. Because we think so fast, and we have so many filters in our brain from the past, it's instantaneous that we have 4 full pages in 1 second of judgment and assessment about that person. I mean, here's an example. You walk through the door, I caught you out of the side of my eye, and the first thing that went through my brain at the same time as I was in here was, I'm jealous he's got a facial beard that I'll never be able to have. And you both were apologetic when you came in and sat down and moved in beautifully. I assessed and judged all that as you came in. I am an assessing, judging machine. We all do it, but most people, and I said the word but because I definitely want to negate that, most people do not admit that and say, oh, well, how can you be judging and assessing somebody? Are you kidding? It's a natural survival instinct of human being. We're going to judge and assess.
Well, you should. I mean, I hear people say that, like what you're discussing right now, is that when you say that you judge someone, what that means, when you're saying that in a negative connotation, is that you're saying you're judging someone unfairly. But that gets left off because you should judge people. You should.
Well, you can use another word.
You just you have to judge them for the correct reasons. Like you shouldn't.
You're making an assessment.
There you go.
The assessment isn't saying negative or positive. You're just saying he's got a beard. I mean,
Right.
That's an assessment.
But
You know?
I think there's a confusion in the understanding of the language when you say, well, I judged you. Well, you should judge everyone around you. You should just judge them for good reasons. There are certain people that you should judge based on their behavior, not to spend time with them or anything, But you just shouldn't judge them for reasons that don't truly dictate who they are.
And who said that?
Well, I just said it, but I don't
Perfect. Where did it come from?
it's come from my exposure of seeing people do
Your
this.
values.
And really, I mean, I'm sure somebody's said that before other than me, but I know that I've evaluated where people are, like, well, you shouldn't judge people. I'm like, no, you should judge people. You should just judge them fairly. But you definitely should judge people, because if you're not judging people, you're going to make poor decisions. And then I would go to take this a bit deeper, is that it's instinctually that's who we are, and that if you didn't judge people 1,000 years ago, you made bad connections, and that
Remember I
resulted
said,
in
yeah.
death.
Remember I said the word survival? It's
Right.
a survival.
It becomes
yeah.
to that point where you're talking survival of the fittest. If you judge to spend time with the wrong people, they hit you over the head with a rock and you die. Now it might not have as brutal of an effect, but we are the product of those instincts that evolve.
And I'm asserting in this conversation to be aware and start to be responsible for being in another person's world. And if you're judging and assessing people, here's a great example. I just told you I judged you. How did it make you feel?
I was uncomfortable because you judged me in front of a group of people.
Yeah. And what I said, why did you smile?
I don't know.
Because he's proud of his beard.
It was a
And
nervous.
he's like, you sucker, I can do this, you can't. No, I'm just kidding.
Can I answer that? I think the reason he smiled is because he was nervous, which meant, okay, there's something a little bit wrong, not just a little bit, and he smiled to signal to everybody in the group that, okay, I'm a little uncomfortable with this, but it's okay. No need to be alarmed.
So I'm gonna curb this now because of time, number one. Number two,
I've been
we'll give last